Hi, it's Xavier and welcome to my bonsai retreat. And you know, today it's blooming marvellous because all the blooms have opened up. Got these lovely soft pink hues. Much that I enjoy these. Most of the year I find them an absolute pain in the backside because all the leaves, when they come out, frazzle off quickly. Generally, this is when you enjoy them most because I tell you what, the rest of the time they're down the bottom of the garden. But alas, there is a bad story and a bad end to this because while we enjoy these blooms, the dwarf azaleas are not looking quite so great and they will be due for repots. So if you love your flowering bonsai, then join me. We're going to do some quick repots, we're going to do some clipping back, and I'll give you a few care tips for how to keep your Fuji shape.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Don't keep them safe, you keep them safe through the harsh summer and crispy winds of downtown Lincolnshire. And also, we might also get to enjoy the last few blooms on this dwarf azalea, but the rest of these ones definitely have had their last day. I'm actually going to be repotting them again this year. Now, you know that I did 4 repots last year, and I think it was the first time I'd repotted them in several years. I'm still not entirely happy with the leaves and the general health and vigour of these. So, you know, that year they got the repot, I've seen it, and well, I'm not overly impressed. I think I'm going to face the fact that these have been stuck in these little pots for a very long time. We've got quite a chunky mass of roots there, and I actually want to try and sort them out a bit. So it may be a bit of a risk, but hey, they only cost me a couple of quid way back in 2016, so I'm willing to give that a shot. Potentially, what I'll be doing is putting them into this pond baskets.
You didn't expect that, did you?
And try and give the roots a chance to re-establish and gain some more vigour. I'm going to let them all sprout out, not prune them, and basically give them a couple of years back in the wild, so to speak. And then, again, because azalea, you can prune them hard. Once I'm happy they've had a good year of recovery, I'll go in hard again with the axe and the chainsaw, so we can produce some even better quality mame bonsai in future years. But I think that's a big lesson I'm learning, that you know, if you continually keep some of these trees in these very, very small pots and don't allow them to push on and regain vigor and new branching and a new reason or raison d'etre to be alive, then they just turn up their roots and say, had enough. And of course, the other thing we've got that flowers in this bonsai garden of mine is the Forsythia. Lots of yellow flowers on that, and still a long way to go, still a bit of a stick in a pot, but love the flowers on it, really do. It won't be this one, although this one is potted that way and does need a change in potting angle, so I may do that. But the one we're really going to be looking at, and the one that did so wonderfully in a flowering burst short, we're going to get all the flowers off this, make sure we haven't got any seed pods developing, get all the energy going that way. And I may even off camera have a little look and see whether or not to put that into a different pot, because that looks so magnificent this year that I think it deserves just something a bit better than that. Right, well I'm not going to go into a big blah blah about soil, but with the azaleas, what I do tend to do is, well up till now I've done 100% canoe mat. This year I'm going to do a little bit of mixture, based a little bit on what Adam of Notion Bonsai talked about, and also has come through in a number of comments. I've got about 70% canoe mat, and then I've added the rest of it, probably about 20-25%, anyway that gets up to 100 anyway, is my standard mix. Small grain, so 2-3 millimetre, because these are all going to be small. And then he says, with a degree of excitement, I'm going to add some sphagnum moss, and I've basically cut it up with some scissors. And we know the restorative powers that moss has, sphagnum has, with roots and stuff like that. So I'm going to mix it in with this and see how we get on. And when I'm working with Kanuma, always use gloves, because it's very acidic and it leaches all the moisture out of your skin. This is probably my biggest torture. How pathetic, eh? Anyway, so there it is, all nicely in, nicely cut down. We'll see how we get on with that. Okay, this first one, got to remove the flower buds. That was very carefully done, wasn't it? So all I am doing, getting rid of leaves I don't like anyway, they're all spotty and horrible. There's a bud there, so that's just removed. Bud there's removed. Removed. If you forget to remove them, it isn't going to kill the tree. I mean, as a number of people have quite rightly said, not that much energy is going to go into the making of pollen, and making of seed pods. But what I might just do is also, before I get out of this thing, where I've got knobs and nubs and stuff like that, let's just cut these down a bit, neaten it up a bit, and as I say, if this responds well, then it's going to get really good hard pruning next year, so I can redevelop and redefine the growth. Let's get it out of the pot. And yeah, let me hear down in the comments below who made the pot. Of course, Dawn Isaac, Dye Ceramics. There we go, firmly matted in there. So clean the pot. I'm going to get that all sorted out, bring you back once we're down to the root stage. Nothing complicated, that's for sure. I'm going to say there's quite a high peak or mound up there, which I'd really like to resolve a little bit. I'm just going to carefully, with my fine chopstick, get rid of any weeds that are in there. As you know, these are very fine roots on an azalea, so we do need to be careful. We don't want to be ripping and rending.
I can rend them all to dust.
And the other thing about azalea is they like to have a bit of space around the roots, and that might be another problem I've done with these. They don't want to cook on the pot sides, so it's nice to have an extra bit of soil insulation, so to speak. Well, there you go. Got some little bits of weed. I'm not going to be too hard on that. What I have done is cleared out the centre a little bit more and dug some holes through the base there. Again, I don't think water was getting straight through to the centre. Large plastic pot, because what I want to do is try and create more rootage on this side, which means I want to spread that out like that. So I'm just putting it in. I'm not going to be securing it. I'm just going to spread out the roots that are in there. And my aim is to get this to probably come, I'd like the foliage mass and that to double in size, and then I can go back and cut it back. I'm going to really cover it up properly, including all the roots that have previously been exposed. Work this in all really nice and carefully. And as usual, I've got a few of these to do, and I've completely underestimated the amount of potting medium I'm going to need. Oh, and a big call out and shout out, I think it's to Claire.
It was Adele.
Yeah, who, when I did my roots on rock, or when I did my Larch Mountain, I referred to the medium I used as muck, and quite rightly pointed out that it's not muck, it's a potting medium. So yeah, sorry about that. And again, this next one, I mean, there's a lot of encouraging signs about it. That's very, very fresh, green, healthy looking new growth. But I have to be honest, and as you know from last year, there has still been branches dying off. So what I want is the stuff that is healthy, which could be just 1, 2, 3 prongs there. Again, double in size. To do that, I need these roots to be a lot healthier. So let's pull it out of this Dawn Isaac ceramic. Again, what a beautiful pot that is. Incredible glaze on those. Again, she's got a website. Have a look. Again, I'm going to go through the same process, just carefully teasing round the roots. This is actually breaking up a lot easier. There's definitely not a lot of rootage in there. That's probably why that's doing so badly. There's practically nothing on that, and then there's this great big mass here. I'll carefully work my way through that and come back to you. What I do want to do is make sure I can just remove more of that mud that's in there. You know, if in the end this doesn't work out, well, I suppose, as I say, it'd be a big shame, crying shame, but this is systematically dying anyway, so each year it's getting weaker and weaker. So we need to try and give it a reason to think that life in the retreat is really not too bad.
Give me a reason.
So we'll see. There's not a lot of good healthy stuff going on in here. Yeah, we'll see. But that's really vibrant green growth. You know, I've got to be optimistic. There's a lot less roots in this one to be trying to tease out, so I want to go slightly smaller pot. Very gently on this one. Work it in. Okay, well there it is. It's an old crabby plastic pot that's split on the sides, but all I needed to do is give it just that little bit of extra space so that hopefully this will put on new growth. So this will be interesting to follow. Got to get through this one. Also got this one here, which has never ever done well, never. So I'll go a bit harder on this one, but it's going to be exactly the same as you've just seen, and come back when they're done. And definitely, just to prove I don't always get my soil right, this one, which is why it's known as algae, there's that really thick scummy algae on there, and this, like most of the others actually, far too wet. Those roots, and you know, when you look at azalea roots, they're very fine. They don't like to dry out, but equally they definitely don't like sitting in water. So, you know, this is where these have most definitely gone wrong. I can't think back to when I repotted this, but anyway, let me get on with this. I need to concentrate, I think. And then a nice watering. Good soaking, let all the dust particles go out, and then put it somewhere in the shade. Now I've had a look at this. I think I'm going to keep this in this ceramic for now. I think it was 3 years ago that it was repotted, and truthfully, if the azalea are healthy, then they don't mind being pots for a while. I want that to be a much thicker mat before it comes out, probably another couple of years.
Do you believe him?
So all I need to do now is remove buds that didn't actually, here we've got an example of buds that just didn't turn into anything, so let's get rid of them. Ever confused what a seed bud is? That is. That's where the flowerage was, and this is the bit we want to remove. Got some old seed buds there, get rid of those. And looks like one there, get rid of that as well. We'll just work our way around. Some flowers in here, get rid of them. You don't need to cut them, you can also pull them out and just work your way around. It's nice and cleaned out. Clean up a few areas there. Just work your way around. Next biggest bit of advice, and I've done this before, think about the groups of trees that you end up repotting and what you see when you do the repots. And with those other 3 or 4 azaleas, you saw that it was muddy soil, not very conducive to good root production, and the trees were basically hanging on. And I thought to myself, do you know what, apart from the fact that I didn't like the pot it was in, How do I know it's not the same? It was all done around the same time, and I'm glad I did, because it was as bad as all the others. I probably had a great crop of flowers this year. That could have been the last. Anyway, I put it in this beautiful Dawn Isaac ceramic, lovely blue glaze on it. Because of the shape of the roots, not quite the potting angle that I wanted, but I don't think it's far off. Probably just needs to be shifted around right. I've thinned out a lot of the growth that's there, taken off a lot of old leaves, so I've just got the new shoots coming through. Now that I've seen the roots, not too inclined to do any cutting back on. I was looking at potentially cutting back here to try and promote new growth. Instead, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to water it in thoroughly, leave it in a shaded part of the garden. But you know what? I'm glad I followed common sense, looked at the other stuff I've done repots on and thought it's going to be in the same state. Because it was. I was fooled by just how good the flowers were this year. Next one we're going to look at, before the sun comes glaring round and starts shining off my head. Truthfully, there's common pruners, got nice little buds coming up here, so much more secondary branch development, in fact primary structure to do, but all I want to do is the same thing. Do you know what, that's the clank in my stool. I've had this stool about a year and a bit ago, probably. It's breaking through already, 50 quid, and that's not enough for quality. And again, all I'm going to do with this, all these lovely flower stems, cut them off. They've had the best of their day. Let's not have fruit from this. I might leave one or two on. If I remember rightly, there's a video where I actually eat the first fruit off this. So we'll see if we can leave some to develop. It would look quite nice actually, thinking about it, if we have a little cherry here, a cherry here. It's a nice healthy tree, so that shouldn't be a problem anyway. I'm happy this was repotted a couple of years ago. Deep pot, that's going to be fine. Not going to muck about with that. Just, yeah, looks like we'll have a nice bud here growing. Got a bit up here that just needs to be cut back. Potentially here we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 from the same point. In fact, that one's coming inwards, so let's get rid of that one. 2, 3 buds from the same point. That's actually coming in, so we don't want that one. So now that I've clipped my cherry, I think we're done for now. I did indicate that I was also going to be doing my Fuji cherries. Got a few of these. I'm just going to be putting those into plastic training pots. No different than what you've seen before, and there's nothing remarkable about these. These are just ongoing work. So hopefully you've at least enjoyed some of that little foray into my post-flowering repot for my azaleas, and the disadvantage of having really soggy soil. So, from Xavier, with all this freshly repotted dwarf and Satsuki azaleas, thanks very much for taking the time to watch. Hopefully the glare isn't too bad. Hopefully you've got something out of this. And if you have, big thumbs up for the like. Share by all means, you know that helps me. Subscribe if you want to. Again, I'd appreciate that. And best of all, enjoy your bonsai. Happy bonsaiing. God bless. Cheers.